Alright, Rick Waller came back again with Doctor Who Series 8 finale, Death in Heaven, and the Cybermen are taking over. And if you saw me review last week, you know they were taking over here as well. If you want to know how that went down, got another video up sort of showcasing what happened between the reviews. How these guys took control once again. If you want to check that out, I'll link it in the description. Otherwise, let's jump right into the review. So it's pretty much following straight on from last week. And where did we leave it? The Cybermen coming out of St. Paul's? Well, now they're all rising from the dead and conquering the world, essentially. Unit arrives to help out and essentially just increase the plot. Otherwise it would have probably run out very quickly. And the threat of the Cybermen controlling the entire world and eventually the universe grows and grows. But of course, really all it is the backdrop that for the Doctor versus the Master, or Missy as she is now, and Danny and Clara's relationship. They're the two real things going on in the story. Cybermen are just sort of the backdrop. Big backdrop, epic backdrop, but backdrop nonetheless. This entire thing hangs on how well the characters do. So let's quit prevaricating and actually jump straight in and see how the characters do. Another cracking performance from Peter Capaldi. He may well be my favourite new series Doctor now, because he does just come out and nail it every time. And man, he had a lot to do in this one. About time too. And it was epic for him. I mean, we get to see him hurting so much. Hurting over what's happening with Clara. Hurting over what's happening with the Master or Missy or whatever we're calling her. And how he still feels every single death, every horrible thing he's seen. He still feels that pain. And the pain he felt over not finding Gallifrey. For the Master lying again. It was just such a hard episode for him. And he was in such pain and he nailed it every single time. I mean, okay, the whole message of, pain is a gift and love is a promise. That was well done. That was really well done. The best it's been done this series. Possibly the sharpest script Moffat's wrote this series. Which admittedly isn't saying all that much. And we get the whole reaffirmation of who the Doctor is. I mean, he's not a good man, not a bad man, not a hero, not a president, definitely not an officer. He's just an idiot with a box. Travelling through, helping out where he can. That's who he is. That's the Doctor. And we sort of got that reaffirmed perfectly in this one. Peter Capaldi, spot on. Respect as the Doctor so much. Now, I've made my views on Clara known quite forcefully over these reviews. Don't like the character, too much annoyance in the character. But it was a bit up and down this week for her. I mean, still had so many of them annoying traits, where she was pretending to be the Doctor. Didn't like that. But it worked in the context. I won't hate on that too much. The fact that her birthday was November 23rd. Why did we have to have that? This is just Moffat's fetish again. Why tie her to the show? And how does she know so much about the Doctor? Okay, she's been through his time stream, but that throws off a load of other stuff in her past. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that. And she's such a bratty character, not in a good, endearing way. Help me or leave me alone, throw in her phone. That's just hateful. Yeah, I hate the character like that. And she's a bloody hypocrite. She did the whole speech to that Cyberman that turned out to be Danny, but she didn't know it at the time that she'd never betray the Doctor. When the whole premise of last week's episode came from her completely betraying and destroying any trust she had with the Doctor. You can't do that one week after another when the stories are linked, surely. But saying that, her taking the hard choice from the Doctor, the whole when she told him to do as you were told. First time she said that to him at the early part of this series, hated it. This time, it was done really well. Really nailed that and got her to make the hard choice. That felt built up throughout the series. So that was a good payoff. And I actually really liked that scene at the end with the bittersweet parting. Of course, the big problem with that, as with the time they parted earlier this series, is it really a parting? Will we see her again? I think it's fair to say I hope not. But there is still room in that character. There is still a story to be told, so I won't complain that. Oh, of course I'll complain a load if she comes back, but I can understand why she might. But I hope she doesn't. And Danny was such a big character in this episode, I felt he had to have his own little section in this review. But that's not necessarily a good reflection on his character. Because just like Clara, not been a big fan of Danny. Still not. I mean, that big epic thing of how he can't cope with the pain he's going through. Yeah, we all got the pain we're going through. Sometimes it's hard to carry on. Sometimes it really does feel like you're swimming against the tide. But you keep going. Don't give up. And he seemed too willing to give it up. And also, with that big epic thing of, if she presses the button, she ends his life, turns him into a Cyberman, however you want to put it. That should be the big heart-wrenching moment. I was thinking, get on with it, because it was being so long and drawn out, and I really don't care about their characters. And also, big flaw with a character when he's so defined by another one. And we really got that with Danny in this. He was entirely defined by Clara, even to the point where it stopped him turning into a full Cyberman. Now, I'll give you his epic save of the day, where he took all the Cybermen into the sky, burst the clouds. That was cool. That was a very good thing. And that was enough to redeem the character. It's a pain to sit through them all the series, but that was a cool moment. And well worth him being there for that at least. It's just a pity we got to see him in that next scene, hear his voice anyway, where he decided to save that boy instead of himself. Which would have meant so much more if we'd actually been given a bigger reason to care rather than a 2-minute scene. Was it even 2 minutes in that last episode? Where he found out he'd killed a kid. And he'd sent that kid to come back to life. A character we didn't care about did something we didn't really see or get told that much about. Hard to care, frankly. And honestly, I don't think I did. Danny, wasted character. All through the series. One good moment, two good moments. One last week where he saved Clara. One this week where he saved the world. Everything else, really no. Really don't want to know. And now here comes the big one. Missy, the master, mistress, whatever we're calling him this week. Really good. So good. Properly epic. She's just so wonderfully psychotic. She's got that whole master, renegade Time Lord, Rani, whatever should have been. Just got that right down. So good at that. Even the killing for fun, it just seems part of the psychosis. And the way she plays to the gallery, the whole needing an audience and so theatrical with the way she does things. Really good. Really fantastic. But as I said last week, a little too Sherlock Moriarty vibe going on there for me. It worked nicely, and it was a really good crux of this. But it was more like Sherlock Moriarty than it was the Doctor Master at times, and I can get it. Moffat does both. Yeah, I see why, but yeah. Also, a couple of quick questions. One, the Doctor suggests the Master had a TARDIS. Never saw it. Never got dealt with. What's happened to that? Two, still don't fully get why or how he teamed with the Cybermen. We didn't really... Okay, so it was a gift for the Doctor, but that's really not backstory. That's supposition. There's a story there that we've missed. About 10 stories there that we've missed. Also, just want to point out, as we're talking about villains here, Chris Addison, so good in this one again. He nailed that perfectly. Absolutely perfect. Even that fanboy thing where Missy killed him for it, that was done so well. Really enjoyed that. Here comes Unit, bless them. The underdogs of the piece. Those that are essentially only there to give the story 20 more minutes of life. And, okay, I feel I'm being a bit mean to them saying that, because they were more than that, really. I mean, there was some fun moments with them, with the whole Captain Scarlet Thunderbirds. That was fun. I liked that. That was a really nice moment. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Unit spin-off using essentially that cast of characters we had there. We're not going to, because pretty much all of them died. But they were all likeable. They were all fun, all funny. They actually made a great team. Especially Man Scout. He was really fun. I should have learnt his name, but just the way the Doctor always referred to him as Man Scout, I really liked him. And Sanjeev, the actor playing him, Sanjeev Bashir, he is so good. I really rate him. And yeah, just a shame he got killed. Osgood, that girl from the 50th. She's so likeable and makes that perfect, fan character. Playing the whole fanboy fangirl thing and the nerd, and it really works, and it would have been really interesting to see her travel with the Doctor. And it really is a real shame she was killed. There was so much potential set up both times we've seen the character. I mean, it was like the character was only there so they could kill her off and, tie up loose ends. But I was actually really shocked when it looked like they'd killed Kate. Kate Stewart seemed to be killed off, and I thought that was a bold move. I really liked that. Okay, she's a strong leader, but wasn't given much to do, and then she was killed. But then they reversed that, and she wasn't killed. She was saved by her father who'd been turned to a Cyberman. Okay, I know we couldn't get Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart in this because, Nicholas Courtney, the actor who plays him, is dead. And this was a nice way to sort of homage and bring back the character in a way. And he had such a big presence in it. And the way he saved the Doctor was very much like the Brigadier. I approve of that. I do approve of that a lot. But I don't know, there seems something wrong with bringing a character like that back like that. But it gave us that nice moment of the Doctor saluting him. I actually really enjoyed his presence in the story. As long as you don't overthink it, it works nicely. I do wonder with him, shooting off into space. Is he Croton? The character in the 8th Doctor stories, 4th Doctor stories as well. From the comic books. The Cyberman who turned good, but didn't know his past. That would be an interesting thing. But that's merely speculation on my part, and probably overthinking it slightly. Well, the story itself felt really epic, and it really did have that finale feel to it. So that's real good counting in its favour. And Missy was so good, and her interaction with the Doctor, okay, it got a bit Sherlock at times, but still really good. Really good. Loved that. And Michelle Gomez's performance was epic. Really hope we get to see her being the Master again. Hard after she's been killed off, but that's never stopped the Master coming back before. Whereas Clara and Danny's stuff fell flat for me because if you don't care about the characters, if you're not invested in them, and they're really not likeable, you don't really care what happens to them. Also, I sort of had a feel like it was ripping off the comics and the TV movie and the Eighth Doctor's era a bit for me. You know, with the rain and the way the water was moving like it was the snake the Master became in the TV movie. And the whole thing with the Cybermen felt like it came straight out of an Eighth Doctor's comic. I mean, okay, it wasn't quite like that, but maybe that's just me. As I say, I really enjoyed it though. It had a proper epic feel. It really did. It ticked all the right boxes, really. I'd say it scrapes probably a 9. 9 out of 10. Mostly for the Missy Doctor stuff, which was really good, and that just carried it all the way up there, despite the problems we've had. So that's it till Christmas. No more Doctor Who for what? Month and a half? Might have to start thinking about Christmas shopping very soon. But till then, Sithig. Oh yeah, and then during the credits, Santa turned up. Because why not?